Good morning, second grade. This is Mrs. O'Brien here in another backdrop. I'm going to see if you can figure out where I am. It is a kitchen. That's your hint. But it's a special kitchen for a very special movie. Did you guess Ratatouille? Very good. It's Ratatouille today. We'll be doing all of our lessons in Ratatouille's kitchen. So here's another thing for you. It's an I Spy. I have lost my cup of coffee. First one to find it. I mean, we play this game every day in class. Where's my keys? Where's my coffee? Who can find my coffee? I need my coffee. It's here in the kitchen somewhere. There you go. Forgot my coffee this morning. Okay, so we are ready to go. But before we can get started, we need to start with our morning prayer. So go ahead and prepare yourselves. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. O Jesus, through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, I offer you all my prayers, works, joys, and sufferings of this day, in union with the holy sacrifice, the Mass throughout the world, for all the intentions of your Sacred Heart, in reparation for my sins, and for the intentions of the Holy Father. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Hope you had a great weekend. We're ready to get started on some new lessons this week. And I don't know if you noticed in your packet that there's a little bit less work this week, because once we get to the month of May, we start getting to a point we've covered a lot of the things that you should have already learned in second grade. So a lot of it is review of things we learned throughout the year. But since we're doing a remote learning, I'm just going to cover the things that we still need to finish for the year. So you'll have a little bit less work. But that doesn't mean the other work in your workbook pages couldn't be optional, right? So if you see the word optional, where there's extra workbook pages, you're welcome to finish those. But we've kind of already covered those things, and there's no need to go over them again. So it'd be a good review for you if you want some extra work. You can go over and finish those extra workbook pages that are marked optional. All right, so simple solutions this week is number 112. I did forget to mention the date. Today is Monday, May 4th. So you should be on the Monday part of your syllabus, and you'll notice that simple solutions is number 112. Make sure you're doing both of those books. All right, spelling this week. I did skip over Unit 30. Unit 30 is optional if you want to go back and do that unit, but it was an assess for transfer, which means it's units that we've done before, and there's no need to really go back over those unless you wish to. They were reviewing lessons 25 through 29. So we're going to just pick up with lesson or unit 31. So in your book, we're doing R-controlled vowels. All right, so an R-controlled vowel, if you notice, there are 3 different ways we can have an R-controlled vowel. Phonetically, if I see it in a dictionary, it would be an O with a little tiny hat. We call it a tiny hat. It's really called a circumflex, but that's a big word. So tiny hat. There's a little tiny hat over the top of the O, and then you have it followed by an R. Right? So that R, we like to say, is bossy. He's telling that O to change the way he normally makes a sound. So when I think of an O, if I do the long sound of O, it says its name. Okay, I can have okra, which is growing in my garden right now. That's a long O sound. If I have the short O sound, it goes ah. Okay, like an octopus. So when I have an R-controlled vowel, and that R is being bossy and trying to change the way that O usually makes its long or its short sound, that's what we call it R-controlled, because he's controlling the way he speaks or the way he sounds. So we put that little top hat on top. But there's different ways I can get that R to be bossy. It could be spelt with an O-R. It could be an O-R-E, or words that have a double O, O-O-R. Right? So you're going to notice in your spelling words this week, you're going to classify these for me, which ones have an O-R that are R-controlled, which ones are O-R-E, and which ones are O-O-R. So you have to sort those words for me and put them into those groups. Now, like I said, the O is not going to sound like the long or the short sound that we normally hear. So for example, when I see the word, we'll use corn is one of yours. Okay, if I had the ah sound for O, like octopus, I wouldn't call it carn. I can't even really say it that way. Carn. And I can't really say corn, because it's not corn. Okay, so the R is being bossy and making it say corn. Okay, so you have that or sound in there. All right, so the little top hat, that is the circumflex, big fancy word of the day, is letting us know that that R is controlling the way it sounds, and it's going to change the way it sounds. So sort those words for me in your spelling list. It says to remember at the bottom, the sound can be spelled O-R as in for, O-R-E as in more, and O-O-R as in door. All right, on your other page, page 205, you have a word structure. You're going to take one of those letters away out of those words to make one of your spelling words. So just remove one letter, play around with it and see which ones, if you remove one, will it make one of your spelling words? You should be able to recognize one. Word analysis, down at the bottom, you're going to write the spelling word that fits each clue. So it rhymes with horn and it begins like coat. So you've got to figure out those clues. We'll do this one together, but if it begins like coat, I know it's going to go k. But if it rhymes with horn, it's going to have the same ending sound. So it's have an orn at the end. So I have k at the beginning and orn at the end. If I slide those together, I have k, orn, corn. Wasn't corn one of our words? Here you go, right? So corn would be the answer to number 4. But I want to see if you can do the rest of those clues by yourself. All right, down at the bottom, it's talking about a thesaurus. This lists words with their synonyms. Maybe I have a word I'm using over and over again, and I want another word that I could use. I would look into a thesaurus. So you're going to write the spelling word that's found in your writing thesaurus. Your writing thesaurus is your blue polka dots in the back. Rarely do we ever use this. We're normally in the dictionary, which is your green polka dots. But I want you to go to the blue one today, the blue polka dots, and see if you can find a meaning of a place where items are sold. Right? Synonyms: drugstore, market, shop, and supermarket. So a place where items are sold. See if you can find that one in your thesaurus, blue polka dots. All right, so that is your spelling for the week. I am not requiring you to do your kids' choice this week, so that's one thing that was erased. So just those 2 pages in your spelling book. Okay, moving on to your English. All right, your English, we're still finishing up this unit on contractions. Today you're going to do am, is, and are. Now these aren't going to be as tricky as those ones we did last week where the whole spelling changed on those words after we traded out some letters. This one, when you're using am, you're basically just taking out the A. So if I have I am, you remove the A, you're going to put the apostrophe in place of the A, and you're going to have I'm. So you're really just tracing over these words to be familiar with them. All right, here we have he is. Okay, sometimes I'm going to have a contraction using is. So when I'm doing that, I'm basically taking out the I. So instead of he is, I remove the I replace it with my apostrophe, and I get he's. She is becomes she's. Remove the I, put an apostrophe in its place. And it is becomes its. Now, this is where it gets tricky, and where a lot of people make spelling mistakes. right? I could say, it's raining outside, okay? If I were to really think about that word it's, I could say, it is raining outside, right? So I know that I've chosen the correct, it's is a contraction, but its shirt is torn. I'm talking about something and it has a shirt on it. Its shirt is torn. I wouldn't say it is shirt is torn. No. So it's, in this case, is going to be a possessive, okay? Whose shirt? Its shirt, okay? A possessive pronoun. So think about when you're doing it's, that you choose the right one. Okay, in this case, it's, it apostrophe s, is a contraction for the two words it is. Right, so down at the bottom, you're going to write a contraction for those two underlined words. Look up at the top if you need help. All right, contractions with are. All right, some contractions are made with the word are. When you make a contraction with are, you use an apostrophe in place of the A. So if I have you are listening to me right now, I would say you're listening to me. Now, I'm not saying it's your book. Okay, that's saying it's yours. Okay, this is you are, because I wouldn't say you are book. No, I'd say it's your book. So this one is you are. The contraction for you and are becomes your. Okay, and you're going to notice that there's that apostrophe there. So if I were to separate that, it's not spelled Y-O-U-R. It's Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. Remember, this is the shorter way of making those two words, you are, into a contraction, your. Right? So we have to be very careful, just like we had it's, that we're making sure that we're using the correct, it's a homophone, okay? We need to make sure the spelling is going to be different, okay? The meaning is going to be different, how we're using it in the sentence. So be very careful with these, that you choose the right one. We are becomes we're, and they are becomes their. Not over there, that's T-H-E-R-E. Their ice cream is on the counter. That's T-H-E-I-R. This is their, as in they're going to the beach today. They are going to the beach today. So whenever you're in doubt, instead of saying there, say it in the non-contraction form to make sure you're using it correctly in the sentence. All right, write two words that form each of these contractions. So you're going to pick them apart and tell me which two words you would have. And then down at the bottom, you're going to underline the contraction that is spelled correctly in each sentence. Okay, remember the placement of that apostrophe is very important. Think about what letters you're taking out. That's where that apostrophe needs to be. And if it's not in the correct space, it's not the correct spelling. All right, so contractions are pretty easy today. Okay, so you're going to finish page 140 and 141. Right here. There we go. All right, brings us up to reading. Now, reading is really exciting this week. All right, you are going to be listening to the BFG. Now, I wish when we did the BFG this year, we could have done our paper bag book report. Okay, the paper bag, it had a whole bunch of pockets and where we could do chapter summaries and talk about our book. But I did want to leave you with the timeline. So you have a timeline in your packet. It is a big accordion. I should have actually had one here, but I don't have it here today. It's at school. It's the accordion that has all of the chapters. Okay, so as you're listening to the chapters, I believe today you're going to listen to chapters 1, 2, and 3. You're going to think about what was your favorite part out of all 3 of those chapters, and you're going to illustrate it for me. You don't have to write anything, you're just going to illustrate it. So if all I'm asking you to do is draw a picture, please make sure that you color it real pretty for me. Okay, try to use up as much of that little area where it says chapters 1 through 3, your favorite part of those chapters. So what I've been sending out on Google Drive, and I've sent your parents an email of that link, are the chapters being read to you, just like we would have had them done in class, because I am using the fancy one that has the sound effects. So it's really cool to listen to. So make sure you're listening to those links. Today is 1, 2, and 3, and then draw your illustration for me and color it. Right. So BFG is fun. Right, so when you're done, you're gonna have this great big timeline that's gonna kind of give us a picture or a bunch of pictures that summarize the entire book in picture form. And then you can fold it up and keep it. It's like a baby book, okay? A baby summary of your whole book. All right, so exciting there. I did not give you any fluency readers this week. I did not give you any independent reading level stories this week. So we're cutting back on a lot of that because I want you to have a good time reading this book, okay? The BFG. Some of your parents also, I want to mention, have Audible. So if they have that, you don't have to worry about the Google Drive. You can just go to your downloaded book, or if you have audio books, you can go to that and find the same story. All righty, moving on to math. Okay, today I brought my board. And I hope you can see it. And this is totally experimental, but from my view, it looks kind of backwards, and I'm hoping that we're just gonna have to go with this, okay? See how it works. I've tried doing a screen reversal, but see if this kind of looks right to you. If not, then you're going to have to write it on your own paper or use the book to help you with those place values. All right, so what we're going to do today is add and subtract money. So adding and subtracting money is really no different than the way we added or subtracted regular numbers, okay? In terms of place value, if I think of a dime is worth 10 cents. I count by tens. Those are my tens. They're in the tens place. Pennies, their value is, there you go, 1, okay? So they're my ones, right? So pennies value of 1 is in the ones place, and dimes are values of 10, so they're in the tens place. So it's really, when I'm writing down my money, I'm just thinking in terms of, instead of little cubes and sticks, I'm thinking of pennies and dimes, okay? Remember, if I took a dime and I had to regroup it, I would sprinkle it in the form of pennies to get 10 pennies, okay? If I have too many pennies, I can pile up 10 pennies and trade it out for a dime, okay? So it's the same way we had the 10 little cubes. If I had enough, I had 10 cubes, I could trade them out for the stick, okay? The tens rod. So when we're doing money, adding and subtracting, I know they put the little cent sign over there because we do need to know, are we adding money or are we adding whole numbers? Because when I'm dealing with just dimes and pennies, I'm dealing with parts of a dollar. And I'm not going to get into decimals here, but what I do is I put a cent sign over here because I need to have 100 in order to make $1. Then it becomes a whole number, right? So right now I'm dealing with parts of a dollar. So I don't want you to think this is really tens and ones. These are parts of a dollar. So I'm going to put a little cent sign over on the side whenever I'm doing money and counting up money. So there's a cent sign, and here's a cent sign, okay? Because we're going to jump right into the example they give you in your book on how to add and how to subtract some money that Zoe and Aaron have. All right, it says Zoe has 56 cents. Aaron has 38 cents. So how much money do the girls have in all? Well, we're going to stop right there. We want to figure out how much in all. So when we're doing things in all, putting it all together, what operation am I using for that? I'm adding. Very good. I'm just praying you're saying that. Okay, so you're adding. And I need to know what I got to do with these numbers. So I said I had 56 cents, 50, 5 tens, 6 ones, 56. And I also had 38 cents, 3 tens, and 8 ones. Right. So really 3 dimes and 8 pennies for 38, 5 dimes and 6 pennies for 56. And I need to add those together. Are we with me now? Everybody have that written down? Or you can be looking in your book. All right, so what I'm going to do next, just like I do my normal adding with ones and tens, I need to start with my ones. So if I have 6 pennies and 8 pennies, how many pennies do I have? Now you could model this with real pennies if you want to. Or we know what 6 plus 8 is. 6 plus 8 would be 14, all right? So I have 14 pennies. Now what I'm going to do at the bottom over here is I'm just going to show you if I were to model 14 pennies, okay? I'll make some little circles. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? So I have 14 pennies. Now I can't put 14 in the ones place. Okay, I'm going to regroup this. So I know that if I can put 10 pennies together, I can make a dime. So let's see if I can get 10 pennies together. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's my 10 pennies. Okay, I'm going to trade those out for a dime. So I'm going to put 1 dime up here. Right, so now I only have how many pennies left over? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 pennies left over. So now I'm going to come over and I'm going to count my tens place, my dimes. Okay, I have 5 dimes plus 3 dimes plus the 1 dime that I just traded out for all those pennies. How many total dimes do I have? I think I'm hearing 9. If you said 9, correct. You have 9 dimes. So I have a total of 94 cents. Okay, now to make this a little bit easier, you could just cover up the cent sign. Doesn't it look like 56 plus 38? Okay, as soon as I put this here, it might make us go, I can't do that. Okay, but if I cover it up, you're really adding 56 plus 38. But I don't want to say that because like I said, these are parts of a dollar. So it's really not $56 and $38. It's 56 cents and 38 cents. I have a total of 94 cents when I'm done. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at these again because we need to subtract them this time because it's asking us what is the difference of the amounts that they have. So I'm going to erase what we have. And I'm still going to use those same 2 numbers. But I have to think about when I'm subtracting numbers, which number do you think I should put on the top first? Am I going to put 56 on top or 38 on top? We learned how to compare numbers. Do you think I put the bigger number on the top if I'm subtracting? Of course you do. So we have 56 on the top, 5 dimes and 6 pennies. But remember, it's 56 cents. Don't look at that if it confuses you. And then I have 38 cents. And now I can subtract because I want to find out how much more money Zoe has than Aaron. All right, so here we have 6 pennies, and we're just going to take away 8 of those. Can you do that? Please say no. You can't. If you only have 6, how can you take 8 away? I only have 6. This number has to be bigger than the number on the bottom. So I could always go over and borrow a dime, okay? Still playing like a Superman here, all right? So I'm gonna take away one of those dimes. Superman's gonna fly on over here, but he's gonna have a crash landing. We'll just give him a crash landing today. He's gonna have a crash landing and he's gonna wind up in a pile of 10 pennies, okay? The little dime is a 10 pennies, right? So now I have 10 pennies plus the 6 pennies that are already there gives me 16 pennies. Very good. Not my best handwriting on this board. 16 pennies. All right, so I have 16 pennies minus 8 pennies. This is a double. 16 minus 8 would give us 8. And 4, remember we took this away, it's not 5 anymore, it's 4 minus 3. 4 dimes minus 3 dimes gives us 1 dime. So how much more money does Zoe have than Aaron? 18 more cents. Okay, so if you're doing this once again without the cent signs, that's fine, just so that you can see. It's like the regular way you subtracted or the regular way you added. But make sure when you're done, you do have to put that back on there because this is 18 cents, 18 parts of a dollar. All right, so you're going to add, and you're going to subtract some money values. Now, this one was easy because we had some dimes and we had some pennies. But what happens if we only have pennies? We have to figure out where we need to put that number. So let me subtract, do this again. And I'm actually going to use an example right out of your book. Let's look at number 1 at the bottom. And they've already put these in here for you, but if you had to write these yourself, I mean, you got to know where to stick them. All right, so if we have 29 cents, we have 2 dimes and we have 9 pennies. But then I have 7 cents. Think about, where are you going to put the 7? If you put it here, it becomes 7 dimes. It's just 7 pennies. So make sure you're putting it in the correct spot. And that way, when we add this, we have 9 plus 7 gives us 16. I'll model at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 16. All right, so we have to see, do I have enough to make a dime? How many do I need to make a dime? I need 10 pennies. So I have 5 here and 5 more here. Can I make another one? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left over. You gotta have 10, okay? So I don't have enough to make another one, but these guys right here are no longer pennies. It became a dime, so I put the little dime up at the top. How many pennies were left over that we could not make a dime with? 6. And this one right here, we have 2 dimes plus 1 dime makes 3 dimes. So my answer is 36. Cents. So we know we're talking about money. All right, so go ahead and play around with those. See how you do. You have page 518. And there's a really cool thing in here where they're giving you like a little store where you have to find a total cost if you were to buy these items that they have in here. They're going to tell you crayons and pencil. So you pick crayons, pencil, as if you're in a store, add them up. Scissors and glue, they tell you what you have to buy, add them up. All right, now what's really cool about this kind of lesson is you can make this hands-on. Go around your house, but don't make a complete mess, and find some items that you could lay on the table and make a store. When I was growing up, my brother and I, we used to line up our entire bed full of items and put little price tags on them. And then we would actually have a shopping bag and we'd go through and we'd buy things. And then we would add them up and we pretended we had a store, right? So see, maybe you could line some things up, and maybe you have a lot of stuff in your room you need to get rid of and you really do want to sell it. You could sell it to your parents and say, well, I'm cleaning up my room. I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff. It's 5 cents, 10 cents, keep it cheap. 5, 10 cents, add it up, okay? See if you can tell them how much each of those items would be, depending on what they choose to buy. Okay, so you can make a little store. That'd be something fun to play. All right, so you're also going to do page 319 and 320. Now, here's my deal on the homework. If you were able to complete 317, was it? I'm sorry, 517 and 518. Feel pretty good about it? Optional homework, okay? The black page, the one with the black, that's for homework. If you feel like you've got this, then that's optional, okay? You do not have to do the homework pages, but I do want you to learn the lesson that we're doing on the blue page, okay? So homework is optional. If you're not quite getting it or understanding it, it might be helpful if you do that page for practice. All right, so adding and subtracting money. Fun, fun. All right. Social studies this week. You're doing families and trade. It's your magazine. I don't have that handy with me, but you can find it. It's in your packet. You're going to complete the back of it. Ooh, another surprise for you. When you complete the back of that magazine, that's your test. How exciting is that? So you don't have to do the test later in the week. So I'm going to count the back side of your magazine as your test. So make sure you're answering those questions and use the online website to help you. It'll read it to you, and you can use that to help you answer the back of the magazine. Super cool. All righty, and then that leaves us with religion. All right, so religion this week, you don't have to hear me read it. You have your story, right? That's going to read to you. And you have stickers in the back. So if you want to go ahead and prepare with your religion book, and we are preparing is the actual title of our chapter this week. I am on page 41, and we're going to listen to the story on page 42 and 43, An Amazing Meal. All right, so as you're listening, you're placing those stickers in their spots where they belong, and any extra stickers you have, you get to choose where you would like to place those. Make it pretty. All right, so go ahead and get those stickers torn out of the back. If you're really not sure what the stickers are, look at the bottom. It'll tell you what chapter. It'll say these are for chapter 5. And I'm going to get my story ready for you here. Are we ready? All right, while you're still preparing, I'm going to at least read page 41 to you. Company's coming. It says, we have much to do when someone special comes to visit. Toys need to be picked up. The house needs to be cleaned. Food needs to be prepared. And all of this is done quickly and easily if everyone helps. Well, I'm not sure about you, but sometimes it's not as easy as it looks. Sometimes you gotta like shove things places or quickly put things in places you normally wouldn't put them because you heard somebody was coming. Okay, so sometimes our house is a little bit on the messy. We gotta do it quick. But if everyone works together, you do want to prepare for someone coming over. Okay, you want to be ready for them. So it says, what is your special job when getting ready for company? Okay, I can guarantee right now your parents are probably saying, can you go pick up that room? Can you go put your shoes away? Okay, think of some things that maybe your parents have you do if you've got guests coming over, okay, company coming over. So loving Jesus, help me prepare my heart to receive you. Okay, so the same way we prepare our house for a guest, we have to prepare ourselves when we go to Mass. All right, so here is your story, An Amazing Meal. Are we ready?
Based on 2 Samuel, the coming of the Holy, the man on the road.
That's not it either.
All that we need.
The man, An Amazing Meal. Based on John chapter 6, verses 1 through 13 and 47 through 51.
Jesus had been traveling around the Sea of Galilee for some time. He taught people about God. He also healed many people who were sick or crippled. Word spread about how Jesus could perform miracles and heal people, and so a large crowd was now following Jesus. They were hoping to see more miracles. Jesus went up on the mountain to sit down and talk with his disciples. But when he looked up from their conversation, he saw that the crowd had followed them up the mountain.
Philip, where can we buy enough food to feed this crowd?
Now Jesus already knew how he was going to feed the people, but he asked Philip the question to see what Philip would say.
It would take more than 6 months' pay to give each person even a little to eat.
Andrew had already been thinking about food, and when he heard Jesus and Philip talking, he joined the conversation.
Lord, I've already looked around. I saw a boy who has 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, but what difference does it make? There are thousands of people here.
Have the people sit down. It's nice and grassy here.
Philip and Andrew and the other disciples didn't know what Jesus was doing, but they quickly spread word through the crowd that everyone was to sit down on the ground. There were 5,000 men there, and many women and children as well. Jesus took the boys' loaves of bread, and he thanked God for the food.
Here, pass out this food.
The disciples were really confused now. They looked into this little basket at the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish.
Philip, what is Jesus doing?
I don't know, but we'd better follow instructions.
So they passed out the bread and fish, and to their amazement, they didn't run out.
This is unbelievable. Every time I put my hand back in the basket, there's more food.
And on that day, they fed more than 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
It looks as if everyone is full now. Why don't you gather up any leftover food? We don't want to waste it.
The disciples gathered up the leftover bread and fish. There was so much that it filled 12 baskets. Later, the people said to Jesus, "Sir, we want this miracle bread all the time." But Jesus gave them a strange answer.
I am the bread that you are looking for. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again. And whoever believes in me won't ever be thirsty.
The Man on the Road.
All right, did everyone have a chance to have enough time to get their stickers in, I hope? So this is the song that you sing at First Holy Communion, the 5 loaves of barley bread. I don't know if in your communion packet there was that link for that song, but I will be sending it to you just in case you missed that. But it was an amazing meal. It says a large crowd was listening to Jesus speak, and they listened all day without anything to eat. Jesus knew they were hungry, and he wanted to feed them. So his disciples said that they had no food and that they had no money to buy food. So how are they going to eat? So a young boy sitting next to the disciples heard them talking, and he offered to share the little bit that he had. He had 5 small barley loaves. I mean, there's a lot of people, but he offered to share what he had. And 2 fish, okay, that he had brought for his lunch. So the Apostle Andrew told Jesus about the boy's offer, and Andrew asked, how is this going to feed everybody? There's not enough. It was kind, it was generous of the little boy, but it wasn't enough. So Jesus took the boy's offering and he gave thanks to God. And then he told the disciples to share the food with all the people. And they were amazed because every time they would reach into this basket, they found more food. They'd reach in, more food. Okay, they started with 5 little tiny loaves of barley bread. I'm talking probably like dinner roll size, and 2 little fish. Okay, every time they reached in, there was more, and thousands of people were fed. So there was even so much that there were leftovers that filled 12 more baskets. So Jesus had performed a miracle. He had fed all of these people using just the little tiny bit that that little boy had offered. So because he gave what he had, Jesus took that offering and he multiplied it so that many could be fed. And then Jesus promised the people something even better. He promised to give himself as food. So that brings us into the Mass. If you turn to the next page, preparing ourselves, okay, preparing of the gifts. So we bring the gifts of bread and wine to the altar. Now, we have people, when we do our readings, I choose some of you to go up and do petitions, not the readings, but petitions. And then I always take 3 people to go to the back with me to bring up the gifts. Now, when we talk about the gifts, we're talking about the bread and we're talking about the wine. Now, at this point, it's not consecrated. We're bringing up those gifts so that Jesus, well, Father, can prepare those for us at Mass. So with the bread and wine, we give ourselves to God. You're giving yourself to God. Before this, there's a collection. It helps to support the work of the church and to care for the people in need. That's when that little basket gets passed. Sometimes if we don't have a collection, we give Jesus our hearts. Okay, we put our hearts in that basket. Okay, sometimes it might not be money we have, but it's our stewardship, the good things that we do for God, that we can write on those hearts and give him ourselves, give him our hearts. The money we donate is also a gift of ourselves. All that we bring is joined with the gifts of the bread and the wine. So that's why you see the one person may not have the cruet with the wine, or someone's not bringing up the ciborium, which holds the hosts. Actually, it's just the unconsecrated bread at that point. We also have someone carrying up a basket. Now that basket is filled with all of those collections, okay? Tidings or our hearts. We're giving ourselves. So then the priest does the blessing over the gifts. And we stand there while he takes them from us. And the priest then prays prayers of blessing. He names the bread and wine as gifts we bring. They are our way of saying thank you to God for the gift to us. And finally, the priest praises God in prayer. He asks God to accept all that we bring, and we answer, may the Lord accept the sacrifice at your hands for the praise and glory of his name, for our good and the good of all his holy church. So God loves us when we give. Okay, when we give our time, when we give our talents, when we give our treasures to him, and especially when we bring him the gifts to the altar. All right, so we're going to stop right there today. Hope you got all those stickers in there. And that is pretty much it. All right, so today, have fun shopping. Go ahead and make yourself a little store. Go back and listen to the BFG. There's a link that you can listen to your chapters. And don't forget to get time to go outside for a little bit. I'm going to enjoy some more of my coffee here in the kitchen. And I will see you again tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.